Son, I need you to hear me out. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not proud of the man I've become. These are the words of a father, filled with regret, looking back at his life, and hoping his son will choose a different path. He's a man who's lived a life of struggle, always fighting against the tide, but never quite managing to stay afloat. At a young age, he got caught up in a vicious cycle of debt, loans that seemed to multiply faster than he could pay them off. Every month, he'd find himself calculating each penny of his salary, wondering whom to borrow from next. He was under a mountain of debt, a pressure that only seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. This struggle, this constant worry, led him to seek solace in the bottom of a bottle. Alcohol became his refuge, his escape. It was a world where he could pretend he was happy, where he could forget his troubles, if only for a little while. But it was an illusion, a fleeting sense of peace that disappeared as soon as the bottle was empty. And in the midst of all this, he had a son. A son he loved more than anything, but a son he knew deserved more than the life he could provide. "I'm sorry," he says, sorrow etching lines on his face. "I wish I could have given you more. I wish I could have given you a life of comfort and luxury, instead of one filled with worry and struggle." He hopes his son will learn from his mistakes, that he won't follow in his footsteps. He wants his son to have a life of happiness, a life that's real, not one that's dreamed up at the bottom of a bottle. He wants his son to be someone people look up to, someone who's successful and respected. "I am truly sorry, son. I wish I could have given you more." These are the words of a father, filled with regret, but holding on to hope for his son's future. But it's not too late for you. You're young, and you have your whole life ahead of you. My son, I want you to understand that my greatest hope in life is that you don't follow in my footsteps. I was a man lost in a sea of debt, a man who allowed himself to fall into the trap of alcoholism, to escape to a world of illusions where I thought I was happy. But the happiness I found in that bottle was nothing more than a mirage. My hope for you is different. I want you to experience real joy, not the fleeting kind that comes from pretending. I want you to live a life of authenticity, not one defined by desperation. I'm sorry that I couldn't provide you with the life you deserved, but I want you to understand that it's not your job to fix my mistakes. That's why I want you to focus on your passion for cricket, not because it's a ticket out of poverty or a means to support us, your family. I married your mother knowing full well I could take care of her, and that responsibility doesn't fall on your young shoulders. I want you to excel in cricket because I believe it can offer you the kind of life I never had. A life where you're not counting every rupee, not worrying about whom to borrow from next. I want you to be independent, to stand on your own 2 feet. Because when you rely on others, you lose a part of yourself. You lose your value, your dignity, and the people you love, they begin to see you differently. They begin to see you as less than you are. But you, my son, you have the potential to be so much more. I want you to become someone the whole generation looks up to, someone they aspire to be. That's when I can die a peaceful death, knowing that you've escaped the fate I couldn't avoid. But remember, son, it's not just about the success, it's about the journey. The father's voice resonates with a sense of urgency and wisdom. Life will throw curveballs at you. It will test your resolve, your strength. People might try to use you when you're down, son. They may not value you if you can't provide. His voice softens, but never let that define you. You are not your circumstances. You are not the sum of your failures or your hardships. You're stronger than that, mentally and emotionally. Don't be afraid to dream, son, but also don't shirk from the work it takes to make those dreams come true. Embrace self-dependency, value your own sweat and blood. The father's voice is filled with hope. Don't let life make you bitter, son. Let it make you better. You have the potential to be so much more than I ever was, son. I hope you can forgive me one day.